What's up, Net Soldiers? I'm the Alliance, and welcome back to another video, guys. Today, we're going to be doing a review for Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 5. So, right off the bat, I'm just going to say, I liked it. I don't necessarily think it was the best episode so far, but I think there were some good moments in it. So, before we get into a further review, let me just kind of give a synopsis on the episode. So, Ahsoka, as we know, last time we saw her, she was actually leaving the Jedi Academy. She goes to 1313 and her speeder bike actually breaks down. On her speeder bike, she ends up breaking down on a platform and ends up getting saved by a girl named Trace. Now, Trace is actually a mechanic who is works for some the underground people. That's how she kind of makes a living. She allows us to see this whole other side to the Jedi that we haven't really noticed before. Before, people would look at them as, they are the good guys, or the dark side. The Sith would look at them and say, oh, they're the bad guys, But this is the type of situation where these people aren't necessarily in an evil spot. They're kind of in a scummy spot. But they see it as if the Jedi just kind of don't really care about them. And I guess you could kind of make sense of that, because the Jedi are out fighting a war, so they're less actually able to, go and take down criminals and, take care of the more low-life thugs that they used to be able to before the Clone Wars actually began. So I can kind of see where she's coming from when she believes that, because she doesn't really know the Jedi truly. She knows that if she were to meet them, she would probably know, but that's how it is in real life. People will complain about politicians and other type of people like that, these high-ranking people. Even look at celebrities, People will judge them right off of what they think of them, and they could actually really down-to-earth people who are really nice, and if they were neighbors, they could probably be friends. But it's because we don't truly know the people. We see their faces. We kind of just label them because that's just the easiest way to do that. So it was cool to kind of get that different point of view or perspective on the Jedi. So after after Trace saves her, she lets her stay, but she has to kind of pay her way for staying with her. Eventually we meet Trace's sister, Rafa, and you can tell Rafa, she is scummy. You know what I mean? Trace is born in the scum, but she's trying to make things better for herself and trying to be a good person. Where Rafa, you can tell at one time she was the same way as Trace, but she's older. She's like her older sister, right? She's been through the crap. And so she already knows how to get ahead in life in the underground of Coruscant. And so you can see just those dynamics between them, because Rafa seems like she is much more scummy, and that makes more sense because, she's been forced to be scummy. And so I thought that was pretty cool. So they have to build these droids for this, underground guy. And Ahsoka's like, hey, don't do it. This is bad stuff. They go after the droids. One of the droids actually get out, and then they go and do their thing. Ahsoka actually has to use the Force to save Trace, and only a little kid notices. I'm going to guess that little kid's going to tell someone who's going to tell someone, and then eventually that's going to be the next story coming in the future. Not necessarily the kid wanted to tell on her because, Jedi are bad to him. He wanted to tell on her because, he's like, hey, guess what I saw? This is so cool. And then, of course, someone says, oh, really? Only Jedi can use the Force, and then that kind of would extend from there. So I'm pretty sure that's the story we're going to be seeing in the next couple episodes. We're going to see how, the fallout of her being a good person and just saving Trace, because technically she didn't have to save her. She wanted to because it's the right thing to do, but in doing so, she's now revealed herself as a Jedi to at least one person, and as we know, sometimes secrets can spread like wildfire. So I guess we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping everything turns out for the best, but I'm pretty sure that's where we're going to go next with these characters. Oh, there was actually a part that I forgot to mention. Ahsoka actually saves Trace earlier in a fight, and she's using her combat skills as a Jedi, and she's like, where'd you learn that from? And Ahsoka's like, I learned it from my older brother. And I thought that was a really cool little nod to Anakin, because for me, yes, they're master and apprentice, but I've never actually seen Anakin and Ahsoka as father and daughter. I've always saw them more as older brother and older sister, kind of the same way as Obi-Wan and Anakin are. Obi-Wan is like the older brother, and Anakin is like the younger brother. And that's the dynamic that we see that I feel personally might have led Anakin mostly to the dark side, was the fact that, you know, he needed a father to guide him instead of an older brother. Because with a father, you are purposely trying to learn the most you can out of him. But when it comes to a brother, yes, you can learn stuff from them, but you also always have that little bit of rivalry between the two of you. And that's just how things are. That's how all siblings are. So as much as you want to learn as much as you can from certain people in your life, when you have like a father or a mother, you know, you can learn things from them and you can truly grasp what they're trying to teach you. But when you have a brother or sister, you know, they're your brother and they're your sibling, right? So like, while you can still learn things from them, you are still kind of like feeling that rivalry between you and them. So that's just the way it is for all siblings. So like I said, which might have led Anakin to the dark side sooner, but there's a lot of different dynamics that go into that, but I think that didn't help exactly. So I thought that was pretty cool. Going back to my original point, I thought it was pretty cool to kind of give a little call back to Anakin right there, showing that Ahsoka, while the whole situation is very rough on her, and you can see it is kind of traumatizing for her, because, you know, her life, everything she knew, it's now gone. She can't go back to the Jedi Temple. She can't go back to her friends and her older brother Anakin. So that's really sad. But she still cares about them, you know, and that's cool. Like, while she needs to go on her own path, she still cares about where she came from, and that's the right way to write that character. So in the end, they stop the droid, and then they're like, well, they're like to Rafa, hey, do the right thing. And Rafa's like, okay, we'll do the right thing. And she ends up selling the droids anyways. And of course that makes Ahsoka annoyed, but Ahsoka's living with them, so she can't really say anything. And I think she decides that she wants to leave then, and then Trace is going to go help her rebuild her bike. Now here's the thing. This was the biggest deal for me when I was about to watch the episode. I saw the trailers, I saw a lot of female characters, and I thought to myself, oh no, is Disney about to pull the girl power moment? And I was like, please, just don't do that. You know, here's the thing. Girl power is fine if it's done right. You can have girl power moments if it actually adds to the narrative and story. And thankfully, this episode actually did a good job of that. All these characters felt like real characters. They weren't just girl power for the sake of girl power. They actually had moments of, you know, they had moments of heights, they had moments of lows. You know, there were pros and cons to every single character that we saw that were female. So that was good. I was glad to actually see, you know, while Disney is usually the ones who who have the biggest issue with being able to do female power or doing girl power right. But this episode definitely was a good example of how to do girl power correct. So I was glad to see that. When I saw Trace for the first time, I was like, oh no, look at her hair. Like, they're building her up to be like the super like tough, like know everything type of girl. And she wasn't. She was actually a real character. So that was pretty cool. And then I saw Rafa, and I was like, oh, here's this character. And Rafa, like, she acts like she is the girl power girl, but you can tell like she is like so I guess you could say like so actually weak inside. Like, you can tell like she puts on this front. And I think that's interesting because that shows that's what a real person does. You know, even if someone is personally like weak, or, you know, they just are like not very strong characteristically, they will actually put like a shell around them to present themselves as if they are strong, but inside you can tell that they are still vulnerable. And you can see that with Rafa without actually going too far into her character. She puts on this front. She puts on this persona that she is tough, but she's actually not tough. You can tell while she's been through a lot of crap, you know, she is still like, she's still like someone who's been damaged. And I think that's something cool that they actually did. And I'm glad that they did girl power right. So, good job, episode. Keep that up with the next couple episodes. That was good. Now, from there, we move on to what I think is going to happen in the next episodes of this arc. So, like I mentioned earlier, that kid who saw Ahsoka doing that, that's going to spread. Someone's going to find out, wait, there's a Jedi on 1313. Of course, then they're going to have someone come in who's going to be like a bounty hunter, or someone who's like, oh, there's a Jedi working amongst the criminals? Maybe I can get them on my side now. So I'm going to guess something along those lines is going to happen. Maybe not, but I think that would actually be pretty interesting to kind of introduce that idea, especially considering right now Trace and Rafa have no idea who Ahsoka really are. They just know that she lived on the top levels of Coruscant, but they didn't know she was a Jedi. Trace knows that she's good at fighting, but she has no idea how she actually knows how good she is at fighting because she was once a Jedi. So it's going to be cool to kind of see what happens when these characters realize they're working with a Jedi. And I'm going to guess that it's probably going to be revealed when, let's say, a bounty hunter finds out that Ahsoka is down there, goes after her, gets in a fight with Trace, about to kill Trace again, and that's when Ahsoka has to actually use the Force in front of Trace. I don't know. I think overall, I'm excited to see the future of this arc. When I first started it, like I said, I was very, very timid. I saw a bunch of female characters and I said, oh no, please don't do this to me. Especially after the Bad Batch arc was so good. I was like, please don't ruin this. And then they pulled through. So I'm just hoping they can do it again. So what do you guys think? Did you enjoy this episode? Do you want to see more episodes like of Ahsoka and Trace and Rafa? Do you think that Trace and Rafa are like interesting characters? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen throughout the rest of these arcs? Let me know. Comments below. Please remember to like, subscribe, and notifications for more videos. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.